Hi, everybody. It's Friday, and we're here for Politology. It's me, Sherry, and Cleo, and we're so glad that you're with us. We're just really glad that you joined us. We have a nice crew already in the chat, and so I'm just going to let Sherry and Cleo tell you hello and what's going on with them, and then we'll start some questions. Sherry, hi, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm glad I emailed you earlier and said, hey, we doing this tonight or not?
Yeah,
And,
surprise.
I've got something tomorrow and I can't for the life of me remember what it is, and I don't have my book out.
Okay. Well, then
several things go and just check in on my community tab.
That's right. People are just going to have to go to your channel and figure out what you're doing. That's great.
Right. And while you're there, you can subscribe and like and share.
There you go. You certainly can. That's a good idea. And Cleo, how are things with you and what's going on for you?
Things are great. I don't have a lot going on. I mean, we're still in the middle of the holidays. We got New Year's coming up. So I'm not doing much of anything. Mainly, if I do anything, it's kind of more a spontaneous thing, where I just all of a sudden, hey, I'm here. And
yeah.
But yeah, for right now, I'm just doing this and looking forward to the new year and looking forward to what is going to be happening between January 6th or January 3rd and January 6th. Is that the dates, or is it 5th? Anyway, the first week in January, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening, and so I'm keeping an eye out for that stuff.
Okay, great. And I forgot to say to both of you, I hope you had a great holiday, and I hope everyone's has nice plans for New Year's. My plan is to cuddle up with a movie and maybe a bubbly bottle of Perrier with lemon or something. I mean, it's not going to be real exciting, but that's the way I like it. So, the first thing that I'd like to talk about here is January 3rd, which is when the next Congress comes into session, and they need to swear in all the new Congress people, but they also need to elect a new Speaker of the House. And usually if the same party is still in the majority, they usually will reelect the same Speaker, but they have to go through the steps. And it has been rumored that it may not be such a easy slide for Moses Mike. Oh, poor Moses.
I'm playing my violin.
I'm so sorry, Mike. I'm not sorry at all. I mean, but this would be very interesting because, as you pointed out to me backstage, Cleo, if they don't have a speaker, they can't certify Mr. Twelp. I'm so sorry about that. So shall we read on?
There's a time frame on. I think there's a time frame on that. If they're not able to do it on whatever date they're supposed to do it on, then it automatically puts an extension in that they have to go so many days before they can do it again.
Oh my gosh! You mean the certification?
Certification and inauguration.
Well, Sherry, Google that shit. Google that shit and tell us what it is. Yeah, look it up.
Well, and the certification on the 3rd, is that also for the other members of Congress and Senate and those people, or is it just the president?
No, the 3rd is for everybody to get sworn in that's new, that is not a returning cast member.
Right.
But the thing that's critical about the 3rd is that if the speaker is not elected, and that's what Sherry's Googling now to see if they miss that time frame of the 3rd, because it's on January 6th that they actually do the certification of the previous election, the presidential election. That has to be certified on the 6th. And I've heard a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about what they think should happen on the 6th. So very, very interesting.
And don't think that Trump, I mean, he'll do something to make everybody try to get Johnson back in there, because he does not want to risk this. There's too much information floating around about a possible pushing it out, or not being certified at all, or being declared illegitimate, or that he can't really be there. And he's not going to, I think he's not going to do anything that will jeopardize that. However, if it does work out the way we would just all love to see it, if in a perfect world, if it didn't work out, it would automatically go to, if we couldn't, if they find that Trump is disqualified, it automatically goes to Kamala Harris.
Okay, and I think you're jumping to the second part of our question. So the first
Okay.
part is we want to read on the eventual outcome for Speaker Mike Moses Mike.
Okay.
What's the story there? What's going to happen? What do you got first?
What I'm reading here is that if there's no speaker, the administrative aspect of the speaker's role is handled by the clerk of the House. This is the person who runs the speaker vote.
Okay.
Since congressional certification of the election results is purely ceremonial, it's likely the clerk of the House just decides they are going to run that vote too, and most of the time nobody says anything about it. But if you get MAGA and them up in there that get all up in arms, start accusing people of not or not being on the up and up, who knows what's going to happen there. So,
but wait, the person who runs the election, he's the clerk of the House.
So, right, that's what they call. Let me go back up.
So could he run the certification? Could he run the certification?
Technically, yeah, he can, because he's in control of picking the speaker anyway.
So it's.
So I don't know. Like I said, I had read something that there was going to be a time frames put on stuff, but that could have just, maybe that was somebody just wishful thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and Norm over here says the clerk is nonpartisan.
Right. Yeah, that's he's not.
Interesting.
The clerk isn't anybody from either party.
Interesting. Okay, I just have to pull up a chart. You guys all talk amongst yourselves. I need to see what the astrology is doing on that day. So here's United States, and I'm going to do a transit chart for that day.
A wrench in there. Okay, cool.
That's why I'm looking at this. I watched a couple of things about this, but I can't remember the details. So I just want to look at this really quick.
And it pays to remember that with this new Congress coming in, the Dems have 215 votes. So unless the Republicans can pull up 216 plus, 216 or more votes for whoever they choose, then there's a good chance that the Dems could get Hakeem in there.
Well, yeah, I believe Hakeem, last time they did the speaker's election, I believe the highest vote count that Hakeem got was like 214.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Because all the Dems voted for him.
Yeah.
And I think even a couple of Republicans.
Quite a few Republicans voted for him.
Just a handful of Republicans that vote for Hakeem instead of whoever the Republicans pick, then that's a done deal.
And that is a possibility. That is a real possibility. There is at least 6 Republicans that are kind of on the fence, and they're not too pleased about what Trump is doing. So they would not mind, getting to a point where he would be disqualified. But that's, everybody's saying, well, it'll never happen. And
current clerk is Kevin McCumber. Oh, okay, you put it up.
Okay, very interesting. All right. Well, yeah, there is a big kerfuffle with the astrology for that day, but I don't want to go over all of that right now, but just know that it's not the most easy day. So things are not going to be easy. Yeah, they're not going to be easy. They have a few little spanners thrown in there that are just not going to be real fun. Let me just see really quick.
Okay, so would we answer the question that you were talking about, Colleen?
Well, I still think we should throw and see how Moses Mike is going to do on that day with his vote. Is he going to slide home to victory, or is he going to have a little problem? And can I just mention that there are 442 people in the chat right now?
Wow. Well, Mike Johnson, he feels like he's got it. He feels because it's so critical with the voting and all that, and with Trump, he figures he's got it because he just doesn't think that they're going to switch things on him at this critical hour. That's what he thinks. But
can we look at the budget deal, though? I mean, Trump was nowhere. His voice was nowhere. Elonia's voice was somewhere. It was right front and center. And but then push come to shove, it wasn't even Elonia's voice that got her done. So I don't know. Exactly. I think this is up to the actual Congress people.
On Moses Mike, I got the page of cups first up. So, it's all dealing with the paperwork. That's what we're expecting anyway. I think he might be a little nervous and is trying to make sure paperwork goes his way. Because then I got the 6 of Wands. He's counting on the public recognition of everybody knows me. They know where I'm at. All the MAGA knows I'm on their side, even though he caved into Biden every time Biden called him to the White House. And then the last card I got was Justice. And that just kind of makes me giggle because I'm feeling like he might get handed a dose of justice right there, that, yeah, it's not going to be you, dude. So that would be really nice.
Artist Liz had a good point here. Is there some way to put her Artist Liz's thing up on? Yeah. She said there are Republicans. Sure. Yeah, Republicans who don't want MAGA Mike. I hope they don't let him in because 45 can't get inaugurated January 20th. Now, what I want to know is that actually true?
Well, no. I mean, they have to take some kind of action to block the inauguration. They have to take some kind of action to say that Trump is somehow disqualified, which would be 14th Amendment.
Paperwork.
So just because MAGA Mike is not in there.
I don't know. What'd you find, Sherry? Did you find something in what you Googled?
I didn't find anything else that was specific that didn't, it wouldn't have required me to go into a deep search, and I don't want my computer to freak out on me. So it.
Yeah, I'm not. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm just from. I've heard so much stuff the past month, since the election.
Yes, there's so much stuff out there. So I'm not sure either, but I do get the feeling, this is more on the psychic level, not on anything I read in the news, that there is going to be a postponement about the inauguration on January 20th. If it's not postponed, it might be somebody else other than the guy.
That's what I keep getting. I'm going to throw cards on it again, but that's what I keep getting every time I pulled on that.
And that's why this thing with MAGA Mike, that they're going to do everything they can to make sure he's in there because they don't want to risk this.
Oh, this was good. Did we see? They just said it on an.
Oh, cool.
Have a speaker. Cool. Yeah, I did hear that before.
Okay, let's just say.
Okay, that's what I was talking about. Okay.
If they don't, they just sit on MSNBC. Thank you, Artist Liz. If they don't have a speaker by January 6th, 45 can't get inaugurated on January 20th.
Well, here, guys, is what I get with the cards that I've pulled out. First card I got was the moon. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say, I think by January 3rd, there's going to be enough understanding in Congress and the Senate that there is something big going on coming down from DOJ, from the White House, from, somebody that is probably going to at least postpone the inauguration, if not cancel Trump's inauguration. That maybe this whole kerfuffle with, okay, good, that's good. So maybe this whole kerfuffle about the speaker is another smokescreen to just ball up the process so that it cannot go forward in the normal fashion.
Well, I pulled a 6 of Swords. Transition.
Yeah.
Somebody's heading out the door.
Yeah.
And then I pulled the King of Swords. Honesty, being truthful about things. That is not what's coming in to the fold. There is no honesty there. And then the last thing I got was the 4 of Cups. It's they're going to turn their head away from maybe one offer being given them because they're going to be so busy looking at the 3 used cups and thinking, well, we can't do da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying it doesn't look real positive for.
No, it doesn't. But a lot of people have put forth the theory that T. Rump is going to just hold his own inauguration at Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster or whatever. He could do that, but I'm thinking the closer we get to January 3rd, the less likely it is that he's going to do that, because I think by then, I think he will know that the shoe is about to drop, that he will realize that instead of focusing on a fake election, he should probably focus on getting that jet gassed up and figuring out where he's going to go.
So you're saying that the DOJ, the Biden administration, a bunch of other people on the Democratic side are finding some kind of information that will make it so that Trump gets scared and sees that.
Well, remember that, Trump is getting briefings. He's getting security briefings. I just have to say we have 626 in the chat. Go chatters. Thank you. He's getting these briefings, and I mean, all the psychics know this. So,
but there have been leaks that he's not getting real briefings.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. I was going to say all the psychics know this. Putin probably knows this. I don't know that baby Donnie knows this, but by January 3rd, he's going to start to suspect something, because so much will have been discussed behind the scenes. They have to have some idea that something is coming down. But the problem is, if they say too much or they let too much get out, then, Donnie is going to just hop on a plane and get out of here. And they don't want that. They have to nail him down with some conditions, and so
Trump never did sign the paperwork to receive the full information that you're talking about.
This is another nail in the coffin. So we've got no speaker, no certification. We've got no paperwork on the transition. We've got 14th Amendment. He really is a known insurrectionist. We've got the documents case where he, literally sold secrets to the enemy. We've got his favorite girlfriend, Elonia, who is in bed with the Russian mafia and the Chinese mafia. So, I mean, there are a number of ways that this could all come down on him. You know how I see this? You know those purses that they give you, those little silk purses that they give you to hold jewelry that are they can just lay flat and the little cord is looped through the edges of the bag, and when you're ready to put all your jewelry in there and tie it up, you just pull up the handles and pull it, and it all goes tight. That's what they're doing to him.
Yeah.
It's all laid out
yeah.
flat. He has many different ways he can go. He doesn't realize how many ways can trap him, but when they pull up those strings, it's
And
all going to trap him.
I keep reading and hearing stuff coming from Midas Touch that every day Biden is setting new traps that he can't get through, and therefore he's getting hung up on it.
And
it's
here's
like,
the
oh,
thing.
that's-
Here's the
that's
thing
good.
about Midas Touch actually coming out and saying those things. I think they have permission to say those things.
Yeah.
I don't think that they are
Ben
just.
Masilas scored that one-on-one interview with President Biden.
And there was
I
a
think
reason.
he got his marching orders. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because they well, even if he does watch Midas Touch, Jeanette M is saying, shit, I hope DJT doesn't watch Midas Touch. Well, they could be watching this channel. I doubt it, but they could be. The thing is that there's certain things that can be out in the public, and it helps the case for DJT to hear that stuff. Doesn't help Biden's case for DJT to hear about all the things that NATO might be planning. But it's fine for him to worry about the things I just mentioned, the documents in the document case, the Speaker of the House not being there and no certification, the thing about the 14th Amendment, because that's not what's going to bring him down. It's the whole Megillah on a world stage. It's all the world stuff that's going to bring him down.
And you've got world leaders around the globe that are literally making fun of him.
Yeah.
And laughing at him and everything that he's been trying to do. I mean,
and that's also a part of the smokescreen, I believe. I really think so. Biden is the intelligence president. He is so up on all the stuff that's going on. He understands it. He's been reading this stuff since he was a VP for Obama, because they can still, have some security clearance even when they're gone from office. I don't know if they get the whole security briefing, but they can get a lot. And he knows enough that he knows a lot. So, oh, stinky Don. Yeah.
Well, and so, all these, God damn it. I had something I was going to say in one synapse and out the other.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Leo had a senior moment.
About this, we thought that we might hear something on the news by Christmas. I didn't actually think that, but a bunch of other people did. But we were watching for it anyway. But instead, if you look at what is going on in the news, there's so much talk about the word disqualification or ineligible. Talking again about Trump's mental state. Talking about why is Elon Musk taking over everything, and everybody's looking to him, and how stupid are these other Republicans that are suddenly supporting Musk? It's just ridiculous. But all these little things that are coming up, in those little key words like disqualification is really what we're supposed to be hearing right now. This is the buildup to what, I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to happen. I'm just saying that this is the buildup working up to this next week, from New Year's until the 6th, or even beyond, where all of these things start to fit together more. But a lot of the things that they're so busy putting down Biden and Harris and acting like that they have just done some terrible, terrible things. And, as soon as Biden said he was going to pardon these people that were on death row, Oh my God, people just went berserk. That whole thing. I mean, I think Biden is sincere in what he's doing, but it's also another smokescreen on the Democratic side. Get them to be all worked up about Biden while Biden puts all his pieces of his puzzle together to help out with Mr. T.
I like what Pauline Creel said. The Orange Man is the only former prez to have his security clearance stripped by the new president. That's true.
That's
'cause
right.
He had it.
That's right. I'm curious about Elonia's security clearance, because she had to have a really high security clearance to do some of the work that she did with the SpaceX stuff and with Starlink. She had to have
He's had it for years.
yeah.
But they've also seen where he has done things against that security. There's certain things you can't do when you're under that kind of security clearance.
Like talk to the leader of China and Russia.
That's one thing, and then also support the Nazis in Germany, and also smoke pot on a podcast and take drugs that he apparently, I don't know, I've heard that he's addicted to certain narcotics. So you're not supposed to be a druggie. And yes, you're not supposed to talk to certain people about certain things. You know, if he sticks totally to business, to his business, his SpaceX business and stuff, that's one thing. But if he goes off and suddenly he's becoming the speaker for Trump to foreign countries, especially one that starts with an R, this is not a good thing. So yeah, they're looking into all that.
Yeah. And we never did answer the question about what was going to happen to Mikey Johnson, except to say that everything is going to be occluded. You know, it's just going to be behind the scenes. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be mysterious. It's going to be probably postponed. It's not going to really happen on January 3rd. And I think that's
He's going to
probably
be
true.
really butthurt is what's going to happen. Because
What's that?
he thinks that he's going to be really butthurt because he thinks that his stuff doesn't stink, and it's like you're starting to smell like the orange man.
Diaper guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's just so sure though that he's in. He's very confident that he is not going to be removed. So if he is removed, it's going to be a big shocker, not only to the rest of the Republicans, but also by Mr. T. I mean, he's just, because yes, they definitely need him in there right now.
I think he's going to cry if he loses it.
Well, I think that I think they might try to keep him in there and do what they can, unless they just don't have the votes. Because yeah, they want to get through this period of time so that Trump can do all his big, all his big stuff, and then they can remove him later.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, there is no chance in hell that Elonia is going to be Speaker. Not because he couldn't be, because the way the rules are for Speaker of the House, they can elect anybody, I think, who's of the age of majority. So, excuse me, they could elect me Speaker of the House, but unless I have all the qualifications to be president, if something happened to the president and the vice president as Speaker of the House, I wouldn't become president. So if Elonia were Speaker of the House, she wouldn't become president ever. However, Elonia has been very clear that this would just be a distraction to her main job. She does not want to have the restrictions of the Speaker of the House. She doesn't want to, in other words, a 9-to-5 job is not Elonia's thing. She's an entrepreneur. She's above that. It's beneath him, basically, is what he said.
Speaker has to be a U.S. citizen.
No, that's not true. They can elect anybody. And P.S., supposedly Elonia is a U.S. citizen. Supposedly he is a U.S. citizen.
She bought that as well.
No, but I've heard a lot of lawyers say it's incredibly vague what the requirements are to be the Speaker. The real requirement is that you get voted in by Congress. So, for example, they could elect my Aunt Ruth. They could just I can elect anybody to be Speaker of the House. It does not matter. They don't have to be in Congress. They don't have to have any special security clearance. Although if they failed a security clearance, they wouldn't be very effective as Speaker, would they? Because they couldn't go into a skiff. They couldn't look at secure materials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I know it's very frustrating for most people who are involved with government because the rule is extremely vague.
But he's not going to be.
He's not interested. He's not going to be it. So we go back to Mikey, and it's just completely unclear because I think things are happening so fast, guys. I just don't think that we can even figure out exactly when things are going to happen because there's just so much. What I've gotten and what I saw on Libby Meister Tarot also is that there is so much information coming in now for Joe Biden and Harris that it's really hard for them to even formulate a plan because there's just so much. And I just rattled off like 5-6 things that could cause them to be able to, yank DJT up by the short hairs and say, excuse me, you are not running the country. They could, but there's like 15 things that we know about. And then think of all the security clearance, high-level security stuff that we wouldn't know about that is just coming in like a fire hose to them.
Not to mention there have been several leaders in countries that have said he can't come here.
Yeah, that's right.
Too. I mean, the information that they are getting is from other countries, foreign countries.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
That about the illegalities and certain things that are going on and who's been talking to who and what they've been talking about. And it just goes so far beyond what we've been just talking about for the last year, actually, about, why these things shouldn't happen. So hopefully they're going to get all their ducks in a row, and they're going to try to do something that will not send the whole, send a half of the people in the country who are for Trump into a tailspin.
Bigelow just put up what the House clause says. It says no person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States.
But that's not the Speaker of the House doesn't have to be a member of the House of Representatives.
Right.
They don't have to be that, so they don't have to go by that. I'm telling you, the thing to be Speaker
to the presidency, they would have to be
exactly. But we're not. But when you're elected Speaker, you're not being elected to the presidency. You're just being elected to Speaker. And if you don't have the qualifications to be president, then they just skip over you and they go to the next person in line, which is the Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have, Mickey Mouse as the Speaker of the House, which I think Mikey Johnson does a good imitation of, but they could have Mickey Mouse as the Speaker of the House. And if Mickey Mouse is, say, not qualified, say they're not 35 years old yet or something like that, then they would skip over that person and they'd go to the next person in line for the presidency, which would be the Secretary of State. And supposedly the Secretary of State is 35 and an actual citizen and hasn't committed high crimes and misdemeanors and could actually qualify to be president.
And what somebody is saying over here is we want Hakeem. We do.
Yeah. Oh, Hakeem's my boyfriend. I have wanted Hakeem to have his dreams for a long time, folks.
Yeah.
He's very close to my heart. In fact, in our heart-to-heart, tete-a-tete conversations, he has confessed to me that he really wants to be Speaker. So we know this. So what I'd like to go to now is with all this stuff that Russia is doing, the missiles on Christmas Day, that was just horrendous. And the cutting of the cables again. And it's pointing it's not 100%, but it's pointing to the fact that it probably was them. What is Mark Rutte going to do? Because I think this is pushing them into some sort of military action. So can we read on that? Because if we go into a military action, guess who else has to participate? ding, 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 United States of America, because we're part of NATO.
Part of the NATO, yeah.
So let's read on that. Is there going to be military action taken against Russia?
Are you asking if the United States is going to get involved and put troops on the ground?
I'm asking if NATO is, because if NATO does, then the U.S. has to.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the U.S. decision. It's going to be NATO's decision. I mean, they'll take a vote among the members, but it's a NATO decision, not a U.S. decision.
Yeah, personally, I get not right now, because there is some other things going on that we don't know about, as usual. That it would be premature to do that right now.
Okay, what do you got, Sherry?
Well, the first thing I pulled was a 10 of cups.
Okay.
So I'm thinking if NATO takes this step, this is Ukraine saying finally we're getting physical backup. I mean, they've been getting support, they've been getting the money and everything, but it's very different than boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You got to have the numbers sometimes. And I don't know if anybody else saw President Zelensky's Christmas Day speech, but it was quite riveting. I mean, brought me to tears. It was very, it was almost like you want to say, I'm Ukrainian too, or something, just the way it made you feel. But then I pulled the Page of Swords. So, I think I think NATO is looking at all their possibilities, at all of their, are there any other things they can do to avoid that step?
Yeah.
But I think if they get pushed, if Pooty or Chi or Kim or any of them take that one little bitty more step over the line, that's going to be it.
No, I think they've taken that step.
And then I've got the Seven of Swords. So they see what they're doing. They're aware of what they're trying to do. They're not as sneaky as they think they are.
Interesting. God, there's just too much in this chat. I can't even read everything. It's crazy.
I know. Every time I look up, it's like.
So I also got the Page of Swords. And I think you're right. I think there's just so much. It's like this chat. There's just so much coming in, that they have to do something. And I think that Mark Rutte is trying to find the least aggressive thing, and yet still aggressive enough that they can stop what is going on. I got, this is not great, guys. I got the Tower, and then I got the Hangman.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that means that they
perhaps
say
Pooty shouldn't get near any open windows.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking that means that some action will be announced, maybe, and then maybe there's a stall on it of some kind. I don't know, but there's a stall somewhere, and I don't know if it's before or after the action. But that Tower can't be good, and the Tower may be for a NATO country. If they don't take action, then they may have another event of violence imposed on them, then some other country may be attacked by Russia. I mean, Russia is attacking, is committing acts of war against other countries.
The Chariot fell out, so they're not wasting any time with it.
Yeah, they got to do something. They can't just wait. They have to do something. And since they don't have any power to tell Russia just stop, except to say, okay, we accept your declaration of war because you have declared war on us by doing all of these things. So back at you. We are declaring war against you as well. I mean, they have to do something. Otherwise, what is NATO for? NATO is for when we get attacked, we all react. We all coalesce and try to stamp it out before it gets any worse. and it's already getting worse. This is the second time they've cut those cables. Those cables are super important. I believe they cut off internet for certain areas of Europe.
Yeah.
So
They cut off internet power.
Yeah, what the hell are they doing with those cables cut? That's just,
and they're in the middle of winter right now themselves.
Yeah, it's insane. And what did they shoot the missiles at in Ukraine? Their energy infrastructure. I mean, they got to do something. Got to do something.
Okay, so I did say that something was going to happen, but not right away.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No. I mean, stick to your guns.
Well, the timing, I just don't know.
That's
go ahead, Sherry.
Security. I was just going to say, I was shuffling and the 4 Pentacles jumped out. I mean, that's security, scarcity, control, being frugal. That could very well be a warning.
Well, here's the other thing too, is that they have, what was that? I pulled up a bunch of stuff from the AP, and there was something, let me just search for it, something about, is it China? Espionage. Yeah. A 9th telecoms firm has been hit by a massive Chinese espionage campaign, the White House says. Now, they're not even naming the telecoms company because I think this is pretty high level and pretty horrible. The 9th. That's awful. The telecoms companies should be the most secure as far as cybersecurity goes. And this is coming from China. So we've got both Russia and China attacking many, many different countries, different companies. That's not good. That's really not good. Not good at all. So if
you said that if NATO goes into the to help Ukraine, that we would follow along with apparently with other countries.
Yes.
What if Trump is in office when this happens?
Well, he of course hates NATO, so he would try to keep us out. He would say, "No, we're not going to
keep us out." He's all for stopping this war and letting Russia go ahead and take whatever they want. So again, I'm wrong about the timing because a lot of things might want to happen before the 20th. Because if Trump gets in there, that could just screw up everything. Because he could say, no, we're not, let them go ahead and do what they have to do, but we're not going to do that. On the other hand, if they did that before and they all went in and helped Ukraine and, with bringing troops in from other countries, they could end the war right away.
Yes, they could. They could end the war in less than a week, probably.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think that they would just go into Ukraine. I think that they would march on the borders of Russia.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And Putin's already talking about, he keeps threatening World War III. And I think that NATO is looking at this like, okay, it's time. Let's nip it. Let's do something. Because no, we're not going to do World War III. That if they have a bunch of other countries just come in and wipe them out, that would be
888. Oh, 890. Sorry, it was a magical number. Just wanted to mention.
World leaders around the world, especially within NATO itself, are having some very detailed and heated conversations is what I'm picking up between them, because they're trying to decide, do we move now? Do we go forward and say we have proof that the election in the US was stolen, that the election in whatever country it was stolen, even though they fought back on it right away. It's happened to like 4 or 5 different countries since us.
Yeah. And in the middle of those meetings, then the cables get cut. So, how great are the meetings? Or if they're trying to run those meetings on comm satellite, then Starlink has a listening ear. So I mean, this is bad. They got to know this, right? You would think they'd know all that
You would think, yeah. I mean, you would think that they would have a means of being able to speak to one another
securely,
that would not involve regular comms of how
right?
people would
Yeah.
normally communicate. I mean, when 45 went into office the first time, the first thing Jared Kushner tried to do was to get a back channel phone put in so he could talk to Pootie without anybody knowing it. And Secret Service and the DOJ and the FBI and the CIA and whatever other initials we've got on the payroll all said, no.
No.
So,
Sorry, Jared. Sorry,
yeah.
Jared. Yeah. So
Connie B
I
brings
think
up
all of
that's
this,
the spider web the Hopi spoke about.
yeah. So this whole thing, all these questions that we're asking are just coming to a standstill over and over and over again. So I think we got to ask, what is going to happen on January 20th?
Yeah.
I've asked the question of my guide so many times. And
They've not given me a clear answer.
they give me a clear answer, but it just doesn't fit with everything. And so then I keep asking the same question. I keep getting the same answer. But on the timing on this, on one hand, I hear somebody will be inaugurated on January 20th. Another time I hear it's going to be postponed.
Yeah.
Going to be pushed out because they've got so much stuff. In order to get through everything they have to get through, that they might have to push it out.
They need a whole January 6th committee just to manage all the communications coming in.
Yeah, there is so much stuff coming in, but the bottom line still being, and I know, hey, everybody, don't throw your rotten tomatoes at me, but I still think it's Kamala Harris will be inaugurated.
God, from your lips to God's ear. God, I hope that happens.
And I mean, I'm real iffy about saying that. Go ahead, Sherry.
I got the Magician, followed by the Ace of Swords reversed, followed by the Ace of Pentacles right side up, followed by the Knight of Cups. It's like all over the damn place. I'm literally looking at this thinking, well, what are you trying to tell me? The Magician, they've got all different means of things they can do, tricks of the trade, little things that they can pull and do that we are not even privy to, that I'm sure are already in the works. And then, of course, you've got the Ace of Swords reversed. That's confusion, mass confusion. And that's one of the things that they're allowing MAGA to do right now, is to just make everything chaotic and in turmoil. Because the more confusing everything is, easier it is for them to go do what they need to do. And they're not having to worry about it. And then the Ace of Pentacles came up, and I'm like, okay, that's like the opposite of what the Ace of Swords reversed is. So this is where I get stuck.
We need to
I'm
look
just
back
not.
on this. As time goes by, we need to look back on this, because we'll figure out, why is this so cattywampus, chaotic, when we get the truth. But I do think in the end, the truth comes out, and somebody, I don't know that it's Biden, but somebody comes out and say, this is exactly what happened, and this is the evidence we have, and this is the proof that we have, that makes it so that Mr. T is ineligible and disqualified, because I think that they have evidence that he did something. He's committed treason, and not just on January 6th, but in a number of ways. Now, I mean,
Lots of times.
could be wrong, but that he's committed treason, and that when we find this out, including the people that are his supporters, the supporters are going to have to go, uh-oh, Yeah, they'll probably try to say it's a lie, but it's not a
Well, of
lie.
course
I
they
mean,
will.
when we hear the truth of it all, it should calm people down, and
Mhm.
you know, things work out. But it's just so weird because this has never ever happened before.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is
Great.
extraordinary. As I was laying out cards, I laid out a whole Celtic cross on this, and I
Okay.
won't go through every single card. I'll just give you a rundown. But as I was looking up at the chat, I fell on Wendy's comment, which I think is really timely. It's likely to use Executive Order 13848, and that's what the recall to the White House was about. There are certain mechanisms that are required with a specific time frame. I think that that's one of the things that the recall to the White House was about. I think you're onto something there, Wendy. And what I got with my cards was Queen of Pentacles crossed by the Six of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is Avril Haines, the DNI head. So her information is at the heart of this. Then we got the Six of Pentacles. So on the regular, there is more and more and more information coming in, and it's coming in very quickly. We got the Eight of Wands here. The Ace of Pentacles crowns it. So it's going to be, I mean, that's what they're looking for, is several key pieces of evidence that they can use within the context of their existing rules or procedures, like the Executive Order 13848. So they're trying to find existing evidence that will fit in with that so that they can follow some sort of a rule. They need some sort of guidelines. So that's what they're looking for. We've got the Princess of Wands in the future. So there's a fire sign person, maybe a female, but just a lower level than the DNI, who is also very key to helping coordinate this information. So much information, and they almost feel like they're locked in because there's almost too much information for them to process. And through it all, everybody involved with this, from Biden to Kamala to Jack Smith to Avril Haines to everybody that works with them, with every single page and secretary and helper and assistant that's there, they just keep, there's this pervading sense of just, this is so shitty. This is so horrible that this is happening to our country.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I get that too.
right? It's just, and that is just hard for them to keep working on this, but they have to. They have a sense of urgency, and they have to keep doing. They have to keep reformulating what their goals are. They know they need to find something that fits with some kind of a structure procedure that they can use to execute this block to T-Rump. They have to block him and his whole administration. And then they have to deal with the Congress and the Senate and the cabinet people that got appointed and the American public. I mean, they've just got so many little avenues they have to think about. So they have had to split this up like not just like a campaign, but like a whole other government, really. I mean, like they have all these people to handle these things. The final outcome is the Six of Swords. They are going to use something that allows them to use an existing process, and they will follow it to the letter. And I think it'll work. I do think it'll work. Now, this did not answer the question, what will happen on January 20th, unless January 20th is the date that we finally see or are told that this is what's going to take place, not an inauguration, but a procedure to lay this all out for all of you, if that makes sense.
Or we may find out a little bit before January 20th that it's going to be postponed. But I think that, you know, they are so shocked by this, by the amount of information that's coming to them. And it's also very disheartening because you can't believe that it is just, you know, one thing I do get all the time is when we finally get to it and we see what happens, my guides keep telling me it's going to blow your mind. It's just, you're going to be like, what? You know, like, how in the hell?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, it's just going to be, and that's why we're all having such a hard time.
Yeah.
The energy is just frantic because there's so much stuff coming in, and we pick up this and that, and we think, oh, okay, this is, you never can, from day to day, you never can say this is exactly what's going to happen, because it
Day to
changes.
day, you can't do that hour to hour.
Yeah, hour
Yeah,
to hour,
yeah,
perfect. Yeah, it's just craziness.
yeah,
But it has to, it's something we have to go through, and Biden and Harris have to do something. They cannot just let this go, because this is what will make or break the democracy of the United States of America, which is another thing that's just blowing their minds. Like, how did it ever get to this? And really, they don't really care. And now they've got the evidence, and they just have to figure out how to approach this whole thing. It's on one hand, it's really exciting. On another hand, it's really just like, oh God, what if they don't do something? It's just the anxiety that goes along with trying to get through from now until January 20th and then beyond. I mean, it's you read, so many people are saying, he's automatically disqualified. So why are they hesitating with that? They're hesitating because they have all this other stuff that came in that doesn't even pertain to January 6th of
right.
2020.
Yeah.
That's all this new information that they're just like, oh my God, how are we going to, what is the best route to do this? And I think that they set it up and they get things going, and then something new comes in and they go, oh, well, wait a minute, this is another wrench in the works. And now we've got to revamp and redo things. It's just,
Yeah.
You know,
In 2024, I think it was something like over 240 countries across the world held major elections for their leaders. And a
wow.
great many of the incumbent leaders who were running for re-election did not get reelected. And a great many of those countries that had these elections, it slid into an authoritarian leader. And if
Yeah.
you look at a map of the world and ask Google the question, how many countries are under authoritarian rule? A lot of them are. Like
Yeah.
way more than you could imagine. If you look at a map of the world, what you'll see is that North America is primarily democratic and most of Europe is democratic. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it. And that is really bad. That is really, really bad. So of course they have to do something. But I think it's really interesting. I thought that we were going to be reading about the Civil War going on in MAGA, and we haven't even touched on that, which is really interesting. But that's okay. We don't have to. And I just have to say, we have over 1,000 people in the chat now.
Yay! Y'all
Thank
be sure to
you.
go subscribe.
To everybody watching and everybody in the chat, I am just blown away. I have never had this many people in the chat. It's a big
Not without Linda G on the panel.
Yeah. Well, on my channel though, never that many.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. On her channel, yeah, but on my channel, no. So that's just amazing. Yeah, I think we've all kind of touched on it, that there's just this fire hose of information coming in from all around the world, and they have to figure out how to use the information in such a way that they can block him. And then what if the MAGAs and the Elonias and all of the Ramaswamis, what if they just stand up and say, no, we're not going along?
Oh, I that's what I thoroughly expect.
That's why I thought that they needed to do
if
something
they manage to come
first.
in and put the kibosh on everything and hold everybody off. That's what I keep getting, is it's just going to be a reign of terror around the world, around the country.
Yeah,
They're going to be
right, around the
they're
world.
going to be
Actually,
MAGA lights blowing crap up and doing God knows what all over the damn place.
Well,
in the meantime, when they have all this information coming in, here you've got Trump talking about buying Greenland and buying the Panama Canal and all these crazy other things that don't think that they're not looking at that saying, now, is he mentally together enough to be president? Could he be disqualified just for that? I mean, it doesn't, he just he just says the strangest, unusual things, how does this help anybody right now? I mean, and then the tariffs, and then, it just goes on, where they're kind of thinking his mental state is a little bit goofy, and he may not be competent to be president.
Oh, yeah, I think they all know that.
He wasn't competent the last go round, but
no,
much less this
and
time.
that's what's so astounding about everything that's happened, is because most people just figured he was just a goddamn clown show. And then, so how did he pull this off? I'll tell you how he pulled it off.
He cheated.
No, the Heritage Foundation and Putin.
They cheated.
Yeah, they did cheat. But how did he organize everything so that now that he supposedly won this thing, he's got all these people in sort of like in line?
Oh, right? Don't think for a minute that it's just him, please. There's no way in hell he could do this by himself.
He's been told.
The billionaires, they're all supporting, because they don't want to pay the taxes. They want this huge divide, the economical divide of poor people, rich people, and nothing in between.
They want to turn us back into a plantation country, so that they can rule the roost, and the rest of us are the slaves, working, doing whatever the hell they tell us to do, and to be thankful for whatever scraps we get.
But so to that end, with the diaper man being basically incompetent,
and incontinent.
Yeah, extremely incontinent.
Very stinky.
Very stinky. He is a pawn, right? He's just the person that managed to last long enough for them to kind of get where they need to go. So I think he's just being kept alive medically. I mean, I don't think that he's really making these decisions. I think there's body double. And because I've got a picture, I'll show you the picture I have of the body double. Let me see.
I heard somebody saying today, and I don't remember now who it was, that they are pretty sure he's getting almost full blood transfusions.
Yeah, Libby from Maestro Tarot was one who said that.
Who said it. Yeah.
But let me just share the screen really quick, and I want to just show you the picture of this.
Oh yeah, that's the picture of, that everybody keeps bringing up.
It's got to be a body double.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why they did the makeup so poorly, is just to distract from it and make everybody think that, okay, I'm going to stop this. This is disgusting. To distract everybody and to make them think that it was really him, and he was just, they concocted some story about he can't have a makeup man anymore. Oh, bullshit. Come on. He's got the RNC.
Has this man ever allowed pictures that make him look like shit?
Yeah, never. He's got someone still doing the, the poodle puff on the top of the head and the bad makeup. He's still got people doing that. I think that's why he was auditioning Laura Loomer and that other, who else was on his plane with him? Oh, that was Tulsi Gabbard, not her, but Laura Loomer. I think that was probably her audition for, hey, do you want to be my new babysitter? And one of the things is that if his handler is a man that doesn't do that kind of thing, then he has to have somebody around who will, like a Walt Nauta or, and I don't think Melania did that for him, but I do think she was his handler. I think he always had somebody like a Walt Nauta or somebody who would, probably a team of people who would clean him up, and then they'd draw straws to see who had to do the hair and the makeup,
Well, according to Noel Castler, who
Celebrity
Apprentice for years, he said there was a whole team that worked on all of them. They said, the Precious would pull in with looking like death warmed over, and she would have had a whole entourage that would follow her in to make her look spectacular, as well as the rest of them. And but that with 45, he had special people that were there to change his diaper mid-sentence and clean him up, put clean clothes back on them. And it was because I know Noel was talking about there is not enough money on the face of this planet to get me to do that job.
So you have to believe that now it isn't Mr. T. It's somebody else. It's a body double.
Mhm.
And so I think Mr. T is in pretty bad shape. I think, he is pretty much not on the stage, or if he is on the stage, it's only right after a good old blood transfusion or something. Because he did have a few appearances there where he seemed kind of like his old self, and certainly
Yeah.
before that meeting with Joe Biden. I'm sure they gave him one before that. But so, I mean, they're just waiting for him to kick, and then we'll have JD Vance. Where in the hell has JD Vance been? I mean, who's even heard of him since like Thanksgiving? I mean,
Yeah.
he's just nowhere. So that's very hinky that we don't know where he is.
Well, I don't know. I did read just, I agree with you. I wondered where he was at, but I just read that he was with Musk for the German thing. I can't figure out why they're focusing on that, but especially
they're Nazis. They're focusing on it because they themselves are Nazis. That's why.
And so Cheryl Day said, I wonder if they're waiting until the holidays are over. Then they lower the boom, including stopping the inauguration by declaring an act of war, and Biden stays in. God, I hope so. I do too. But yeah, I think they are waiting on some things. And I think during the holidays was probably not the best time to bring all this up. But
I don't think that has
every day it changes. So like I said, if all the information they have right now, tomorrow they'll get more information that would change that. So what they're doing is collecting all the information. You're right. Yeah. The holidays.
It's too important. This is too important to put off because of a holiday.
Yeah, right. And it's the time.
I think they're just busy getting all their T's crossed and their I's dotted. They're making sure they've got everything in place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if there's one misstep, then the other side's going to rip it all apart. So,
yeah. Well, that is interesting what you said about Vance and Musk. I just pulled it up here that
and that other guy, the guy that's the Musk and whoever the other guy is that's in this new department.
Ramaswamy.
That guy. The three of them are all in Germany.
Yeah.
Well, were all in Germany.
And that's very interesting
because got the plane.
Because I wonder if Peter Thiel was there with Vance, because Peter Thiel's from Germany.
Oh. He wasn't in the article, but that's always a possibility.
I wonder if he's there. And I wonder if Vance cozying up to Musk is a way for him to sort of gain some sort of trust with him, because I know there's bad blood between them.
Yeah.
Thiel and Musk are arch enemies in business. They really don't like one another. Musk has blocked Thiel from several big lucrative contracts, government contracts. And so I wonder what Vance has up his sleeve by going to Germany. Maybe kind of a subterfuge, kind of a smokescreen to make Musk and Ramaswamy think that he's on their team.
Yeah, big squirrel moment.
Well, he's totally supporting the Nazis, and that's.
He says that today, but Mr. Vance 2 years ago was saying that Trump was America's Hitler. So like he kind of sways with the wind, like today it's eyeliner, tomorrow it's a nice new lipstick shade. It's just he's not the most consistent person. He's just not consistent at all. And his backstory with Thiel is very, very interesting, because I'm sure that there is a very tight relationship there between Vance and Thiel. And if Thiel really has bad blood with Musk, I'm sure that Vance pretty much shares that sentiment. So it's interesting that they propped Vance up to be the VP pick with all of that going on. And I think when they did that, Musk wasn't in the picture, was he?
Well, I think he's been in the background for a long time, and they purposely kept him out of
the money man.
But yeah,
not all along, just in maybe halfway through 2024, he really became much more prominent.
Well, and once he suddenly is like Trump's little boy or something, every day he makes more and more money from what he is doing right now, between getting money from the country,
So much money.
billions of dollars.
So much money. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have people here in our country that are trying to not get evicted or can't feed their kids. And this man is just, it's just disgusting, the amount of money that they're pulling in.
So
every day, because of his connection with Trump now, this has boosted things.
Mm-hmm. So July 13th was the first time Musk tweeted publicly that he endorsed DJT. And this was reported on through, this is interesting, the Washington Post, Mr. Bezos' publication. Hi, I'm a Republican, but I won't tell you that I am.
I wonder what, Bezos and also the Facebook guy, both those guys, I'm like, what are you doing? Why in the world has that been on the news every day since they decided to give $1 million for the inauguration, $1 million apiece?
Because Trump wants it in the news. Because
it's the same thing, the same story every single day for it's getting close to 2 weeks.
Same headlines, same story, same everything.
Well, think about it. Maybe they don't have anything else to put in. And maybe they've been told you need to put this in daily for Well,
I think it's
days.
also to attract other people and other businesses to do the same thing, to make it like, hey, we're all for Trump. What they're really for is they're all for their own businesses to make a profit, and it doesn't do them any good not to support Trump because they believe he's going to be president.
And as of Christmas Day, Trump's inauguration is on course to be the priciest inauguration in U.S. history as corporations pour in millions. Fortune 500 companies like Amazon and Ford, along with billionaire Ken Griffin, plan to donate at least $1 million each. So they succeeded. Ford is donating $1 million and a fleet of vehicles for Trump's inauguration. Let's see, what else does anybody else say? No, but that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted a whole bunch of people to donate all that money.
Last go round, he raised like 3 times the amount of money that Obama had raised for his 2 inaugurations put together. And he didn't have an eighth of the events and talent going on that Obama had in both of his. And it was like, where the hell did the money go? That's when they decided to frame Melanoma best buddy, who she talked into running the thing, and then they tried to lay the blame all on her. Unfortunately, she was smart enough. She kept the receipts. She knew who did what and who said what.
With all these billionaire people that are putting all this money into the inauguration and everything else, that really is going to play a part if somebody tries to say that he is ineligible. I mean, what in the world happens? Those people will be going crazy too. Here, they're putting all their money into this, and all of a sudden they're not going to have an inauguration. It's not going to happen yet. And I do see that is a good possibility. It just may not happen yet.
Will they get their money back?
That's what I'm
trying to find what the actual number was back in 2017. Obama's numbers, he raised $53 million, and they said that Trump raised a lot more. The number 82 million comes to my mind. And I think that they only spent probably 3 million because most of the pop stars that they had on there were people who, hadn't put out a record since 2000. And then Ivanka just pocketed the rest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here.
And then blamed Melanoma's best buddy, who they got to run it to begin with, who was already, that's what she did. She was a rich socialite, but she did a lot of events and stuff, big time events that she ran for people, that she had started her own business at it. And it
who was that?
Her reputation. I forget her name.
The person who was Melanoma's best friend.
best friend, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what she was, this rich socialite, you know, but she
Mm-hmm.
busted her ass. She built her own company. That's
Mm-hmm.
what she did, was events.
Yeah.
And
Now
they destroyed her reputation. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
she sued
Really
them.
bad.
So
Really bad.
Well, but how does it look also for these high ruling people, big business people? If Trump does not get inaugurated, how does that reflect on them?
poorly.
Yeah,
They're in business. If Trump's not in office and he doesn't have any more power, then they just dust themselves off, cancel the check that they sent to him, and go about their business. I don't think
Yeah.
they care. Nobody likes this guy. There is no love lost between
Yeah.
Trump, Musk, Ramaswamy, Vance, Teal, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. They don't give a crap about real
what does
feelings.
it say about how they're viewing Trump? I mean, they're supposed to be smart
They
people.
don't care. They don't care. It's business. They didn't want to have their businesses hurt. And
Right.
so they curried favor.
Okay.
That's the way they
Yeah.
do business. That's the old Pluto and Capricorn paradigm of the guy with the most toys wins.
And Amanda Carroll says, they are idiots, Cleo, aren't they? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are. They are idiots. That's
And
right.
it makes you wonder how the hell they managed to build their businesses up to that level when they're
So easy. They
obviously,
just keep making more money. They just figure out another way to make more money and they do it. They just keep doing it. And then they get a new wife after 4 or 5 years because the old one says, "Why are you doing that, honey? That's not nice to people." "Oh, do you want a divorce? Okay, bye." That's what they do. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, they
yeah,
look at the MAGA thing and they realize, oh, they don't care either. They're just trying to tear down the government so that they can have cushy, powerful jobs and make money some other way. I mean, it's crazy.
So
It's
anyway, if anybody wants specific answers for what's going to happen January 3rd, January 6th, January 20th, we don't know.
good luck.
We got a lot of good ideas. We got a whole bunch of things that could happen.
That's right.
In the long, all in all, I don't think they know. I don't think the Democrats know. I don't think Biden and Harris know quite yet exactly how this is going to go down, but they're going to make sure they do it right. So whatever as long as they do it, then I'm good.
That's the strongest feeling that I've gotten on all of this, is that regardless of what happens, nothing is going to take place without them checking every box, dotting every I, crossing every T, making sure that every single step is in place. Because all it's going to take is one misstep and the other side will be all over it to blow it up.
Yeah.
You
I'm thinking that they have several teams of people. One team of people is working on a mostly domestic block, using the levers of power as they are known to them. I think there's
Yep.
another team that's working on the more multinational block of things that happened in other countries. There's probably another team that's working on the NATO side of things, starting, going into war, declaring a war, and invoking the PEDS Act and saying, okay, we're at war. I have to just sit here. Joe Biden would
And
just sit here in the White House. I mean, I think they have different teams who are really playing out the scenarios all the way.
They're also placing people all throughout government that are going to be moles, that are going to come off as being MAGA.
Yeah. But I think their biggest priority, though, is to have these plans in place, or have plans that they can execute at a moment's notice once they figure out which plan is the best way to stop everything in its tracks, to stop the inauguration, to stop Russia from doing all of this stuff, and to help the American people come to an understanding that this had to be stopped. We couldn't go forward. And I think it is such a huge story. It's not written yet. The story,
Right.
it's just not written yet. And so, we can speculate, but even for us
And
trying to make predictions, it's very hard.
and the guides are being very, I know with mine, they're being very
Coy,
sketchy around the edges,
coy.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to see this yet, or
That's right.
it's not decided yet, or
Right.
don't worry about it, we're taking care of things. And those are the kinds of messages I keep getting.
Right. And
And
there's
it's
so
like,
many people involved in American politics, the people that are most visible to us, who are playing a role.
yeah,
They're not
big time.
they're not portraying themselves as what is really going on. They're playing a role. I think Vance
Yeah.
is playing a role. Musk is playing 8 roles. I mean, he's got his fingers in a million pies, and he's just doing all sorts of stuff. Clearly, he's not too loyal to T-Rump, because he's loyal to
He's
another
not
country.
loyal to anybody or anything but his pocketbook.
Hmm. I
He's
mean,
100% greed.
we may turn around in a week and find that Jeff Bezos turns out to be the hero of the day somehow. Amazon, with all of its, arms and legs all over the world, somehow helps us with this. I mean, you don't know. It could just be some crazy ass thing like that helps us bring the inauguration to a standstill and to halt the T-Rump from getting into the White House. It just hasn't been written
So
yet.
if Bezos people are paying attention, kindly let him know, if you want to be a hero to all of the world, leave the dark side and step into the light.
You can email me, Jeff, at
There you go.
coolcrone444@gmail.com. I'm listening.
Well,
Okay.
somebody here in
Absolutely.
the chat section, Melissa, says, beware of psychics who tell you that they know 100%. Good,
Yeah.
good, very good advice. There's no way that
Amen.
any of us is saying that we know 100% and that what we're talking about today is going to happen the way we say it's going to happen. As a matter of fact, my guides have told me over and over again, Cleo, you're on the right track, but you don't have it exactly. So when it goes different than you think, that basically they're saying, because this is so far out of your realm of thought, you're just not able to get it. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but just so you do it, just so it goes my way, just so it goes our way, that that it works out. I'm good with it. I don't need to know every detail, but yes, don't bank on any psychic thinking that they know 100% what's going to happen.
No.
And if you've watched
If
any
I'm
of that,
listening to somebody new or even somebody old, and they start spewing out stuff like that, it's like unsubscribe. I don't
well, and
want to.
you'll notice that with almost all the psychics, especially the really popular ones, their ideas of what is happening is variable. It changes, and when you
And they're
say,
the first ones to say it could be different tomorrow. It could be different an
yeah,
hour from now.
so and we don't want to give false promises, but I still hear the same thing, and I have said the same thing all along. Kamala Harris will be inaugurated. Now, that could be January 20th, 25, or could it be January 20th, 28 or something? I don't know. I just keep getting the same thing, and timing is a bitch. That's all I know.
It is. It really is. Well, of course, we have not solved world peace tonight. We haven't even solved whether we think the inauguration is going to take place. So it is just one of those shows where we just have not been able to come to any conclusions. And I think that's probably for the best. I mean, I think
we just really want to throw out there all the different things that could be happening, so
yes.
everybody knows, that this is a crazy time, but it's so serious and so critical, because it does affect the entire democracy of the United States of America. And so we're doing our best to tell you what we're being told, and we don't know exactly what it all means.
No, and I also want to reiterate for people that are getting hung up on the rules of Congress or the rules of succession, or that is such small potatoes compared with what we are dealing with now. All those things will be smoothed out. All those things will be rectified. All those things will be, all the little dominoes will fall into their right places. So don't worry about those things. And the thing too is that if we did have some idea of how things are going to go, and we may, I mean, after January 6th, we may be able to make some much better predictions because we might have some actual information. But until and after that time, then we may be able to tell you something more definitive. But don't, even anytime you're listening to psychics make predictions, if you get hung up on these logical rules, you're not leaving yourself open to the possibility of what could happen. And miracles happen all the time. They do. Every day. They just do. So if you worry about all the little, you know, oh, it can't be this because they didn't do that, and it can't be this because they're not old enough or whatever. You know what? In the world of miracles, okay, that's solved. Like you can't worry about it. You know, you just have to kind of go with it. So I don't know. It's almost an hour and a half. We should probably call this little guy. But thank you so much, everybody. We had over 1,000 people in the chat. At one point, I think it was 1,025 or something. And
thank you, Gerald, for keeping things running backstage.
Thank you so much, Gerald, for being my backstage producer. I really appreciate that. And all of you in the chat, I am so glad that you were here to share this with us, even though, you know, my prediction of Christmas didn't come true, but I also said at the end of that video, it could be kind of like, you know, just kind of in that area, that time frame. So we haven't hit New Year's yet, so I'm not wrong yet. But
I am heartened. I have hope because of the fact that with everything that's possible, everything that's happening, all of the stuff flying around out there, it's just stuff flying around. There have been no leaks from the Biden White House.
None.
There have been no leaks from NATO. There have been no leaks from Harris. It's like, okay, when was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
That there literally were no, they're letting people talk and speculate and they just smile and play along with them sometimes, but no one's given a definitive answer and no one has leaked.
Right.
Not.
But it is coming. It is coming.
It is coming. It definitely is.
And I think that when it comes down and they hit us with it, it's going to knock all of us on our ass.
Yeah.
Because we're going to all be sitting there going, oh my God, I was looking at it the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep getting.
Probably.
It's been right in my face and I never saw it.
And things may fall out in a way that none of us could ever imagine. Probably will, you know. And so all of this will be like so many, you know, grains of rice spread across the ground, you know, just little tiny things. It just won't make any difference.
And it may happen in January and it may not happen till June. Who knows? I mean,
well, at least in January, somebody has to give an explanation of why nothing's happening on January 3rd, January 6th, January 20th, etc. Somebody has to say something. So at least that much will happen. But yeah, you're right. I mean, real action on that whole front may not happen for months.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you. I wish everybody a really happy New Year. And the next time you will see Polytarology will be Friday, January 3rd. So I hope you will all be back here to join me for another rousing discussion and hopefully a few cards and some predictions.
Looking forward to it.
Well, she says,
there you go, Norm. Believe.
She says January 3rd now, but you know, if something amazing happens, it'll be before that.
Oh yeah. I'm just checking.
And I'm on vacation all this week, so she knows she can call me at any time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Gerald,
New Year, y'all.
thank you for your help, honey. And
bye, everybody.
Sherry and Cleo, thank you for coming on. Sherry, especially, I know this was last minute for you, so thank you so much.
Okay.
And all of you people in the chat, All you people in the chat, you rock, and I just love you. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Be sure to subscribe to all our channels. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Bye.